I'm going to tell this story, which was told by Mina from Gaza, and is a Japanese story, Warashibe Choja. But I'm going to stop before the end of the story, and you can imagine the end of the story. There's no right, there's no wrong, just imagine, and you can tell us your ideas for the end of the story, okay? Is that okay?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Brilliant. So I say story, story, you say tell us a story, and then we can begin. Story, story.
Tell us a story.
Mukashi, mukashi. Long, long, long ago, there was a young man who had nothing. This young man had no family, no home, no work, no money. He had
Nothing.
Nothing in the world. He had lost everything. So the young man went to the temple of the goddess of mercy, to the temple of Haneen. And he asked, please help me, give me mercy. And it seemed, as he lay on the ground in front of her, that Haneen spoke to him. Leave my temple, and as you leave, you will fall, and you will catch something in your hand. Take this and walk to the west. Well, the young man got up from the ground, and in his hurry, he ran out of the temple, and he tripped at the entrance, and he fell. And in his hand, he caught a straw. Just a straw. How can this help me? And he started walking to the west. The sun was hot in the sky. He walked and he walked and he walked. As he was walking, a fly buzzed around his head and bothered him. He caught the fly in his hand. He took a strand of his hair and he tied the fly to the end. So the fly buzzed round and round the straw, just for fun, as he walked with the buzzing fly on the straw. He came to where there was a mother, and the mother was holding her little child, and the child was crying. Wah! 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 Oh, please, my child, stop crying. Wah! Wah! But then the child heard the fly buzzing on the young man's straw, and the child stopped crying. Oh, oh, and the child was interested. Now the young man saw this, and he remembered Haneen's mercy. He took the straw with the buzzing fly and he gave it to the mother. And the mother gave it to the child. And the child was happy. Ooh. The mother said, you showed me mercy. Let me give you an orange. Well, the young man took the orange and he started walking to the west. The sun was hot, and as he walked, he thought, now I don't have a straw, I have an orange. He walked and he walked. The sun was hot in the sky, and he came across a young woman. And the young woman was lying in the road, and she reached her hand. Oh, please, please help me. I am thirsty. I need to drink. And he said, I have no water. But as he went past, he remembered Haneen's mercy. Let me give you this orange. And the young woman gladly took the orange. She peeled it and she ate it, and the sweet, refreshing juice made her well. Thank you for your mercy, she said. Let me give you something. Let me give you this piece of cloth, this piece of silk. Well, the young man took the piece of silk, thank you, and he continued walking to the west. The sun was hot in the sky, and he said to himself, now I don't have a straw, I don't have an orange, I have a piece of silk. A piece of silk. Cider silk. Well, on he walked, and he came to where there was a samurai. Do you know? The Japanese warrior. In his fine uniform stood the samurai, but the samurai was angry. Look at my horse. My horse is sick. My horse just lies here beside the road. My horse is ill. I promised my wife that I would ride to the city and bring her something beautiful. My wife will be angry. Well, the young man saw this samurai's anger, and he remembered Haneen's mercy. Let me give you this piece of silk. Well, the samurai took the piece of silk. Oh, this is fine silk. The quality is good. My wife will be glad. And the samurai took the piece of silk and said, all I can give you is my horse. My horse is sick, but it's a fine horse. And the samurai walked away with the silk for his wife. Well, the young man knelt down beside the horse. He knew nothing about horses. He was poor, but he rubbed the horse. He went to a nearby river and brought water for the horse to drink. He gave the horse grass to eat. All night long he looked after the horse. And in the morning, the horse said, this is a fine horse. He climbed onto the horse's back and he began to ride towards the west. And as he rode, he said to himself, now I don't have a straw, I don't have an orange, I don't have a piece of silk, I have a horse. And on he rode towards the west. He rode and he rode and he rode. 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 And there in the distance he saw a fine house with a red roof. And beside the house there was a garden. And the garden was filled with flowers and fruit trees. And around the garden there were fields of animals. This was a rich farmer's estate. And he rode closer. And as he rode, he saw the farmer, an old man with a long beard, standing at the golden gate. And as he rode towards him, the old farmer said, oh, that is a fine horse you're riding. I wish I had a horse like that. And the young man pulled up the horse. And he remembered Haneen's mercy. He got down from the horse. This horse, I give it to you. and that's the end of the story. Or is it? Is it the end of the story? No, it's not. But we're near the end of the story. What do you imagine happened next? And then what happened at the end? So I'm going to give you 3 minutes. Talk to the person next to you in English, because I know you can. And you've got 3 minutes to tell your ending to the story. You might have different endings, or you might come up with one ending together, but you've got 3 minutes, talk to each other, and then we'll listen to some different endings. All right? Mina told this ending to the story of Warashibe Choja. Story, story.
Tell us a story.
I will give you my horse. You're giving me your horse? I can see you are a poor young man, and I am wealthy, and you're giving me your horse. I cannot believe it. Come with me. And the rich farmer led the young man and that fine horse through the golden gate and into the farm. And as they walked through the gardens, he showed him the fresh, ripe fruit, and he could hear the birds singing in the trees, and the gardens were so beautifully scented. And he brought him into that fine house. I would like to hear your story, said the rich old farmer. But you must be thirsty after your journey. Daughter, bring tea. Into the room came a young woman carrying tea. But she stopped. Father, this young man is the young man I told you about. This young man gave me an orange when I was thirsty. You are the one who saved my daughter. Truly, you are merciful, said the rich man. Stay here with us. Well, the young man stayed on the farm, and he learned about farming, raising livestock, animals, growing flowers and fruit, and he helped the farmer. But the farmer and his daughter also learned from the young man. They learned about mercy. And they treated the people around the farm well. After some time, it was agreed that that farmer's daughter, who loved the young man, would marry him. A wedding was arranged, people were glad, and years later, that old farmer passed from this life, and that young man and his wife inherited the farm, and they continued to do business. But the more they prospered, the more they became rich, the more they became generous. The more people gave to them, the more they gave away. They became famous throughout Japan. And that young man became known everywhere in those days and even to this day as Warashibe Choja, which means the Straw Millionaire.